Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Welcome to Sri R.M. Jain Group of School Online Teaching, Ekalaiva. Today for 8th Standard Geography, we are going to learn about land, soil and water resources. Children, this is the second session. So already we have read about land resources. In that we saw about the various classification of land, that was on the basis of fertility, on the basis of relief and development, then land use pattern, all that we have already read. Then next we saw about the land degradation and the various method of conservation of land resources. So today let's go to the next subunit, that is soil. The topmost layer of the earth crust is made up of a thin layer of soil. So you know the different layers of the earth. In that, the topmost layer, it is the crust. So in this crust, the topmost layer of the crust, it is made up of soil. So this soil is the unconsolidated covering of fine rock particle. So it is a rock particle and that covers the surface of the earth, and it consists of weathered particles of rock brought by the agents of erosion. So what are the agents of erosion? Who are they? They are the water, wind, glaciers, and this soil contains the weathered particles of rocks. Okay, so it also contains some humus and minerals. So what is a humus? Humus is nothing but the decaying organic matters. So this also is present in the soil. So let us learn more things about soil. This soil varies in color. So soil varies in color, texture, fertility and content. So there are many types of soil. So it varies based on the color, texture, fertility and content. The type of the landform and the nature of the parent rock determine the type of the rock, type of the soil. Okay, so what determines the type of the soil? It is the type of the landform and the nature of the parent rock that determine the type of the soil. And what about the fertility? The fertility of the soil, no, it refers to its ability to produce vigorous growth in the plant. If a soil is very fertile, then a plant can grow very well in that soil. So the right mix of mineral and organic matter with the ability to retain the collected amount of moisture, all this determine the fertility of the soil. So the soil, how long time does it takes? Then the soil formation, no, it is a very slow process. So how long time does it takes? It takes more than 200 to thousands, several thousand years to make a soil. So just small centimeter, 1 centimeter of soil, to make a 1 centimeter of soil, it takes more than 200 years. So it is a very slow process. So let us go and see little more detail. So now let us see what is soil profile. Soil profile, it is nothing but the vertical arrangement of the layers in a section of the soil is called the soil profile. So this soil is made up of different layers. Layers are horizon, anything we can tell. This soil, different layers or horizons. This is called as soil profile. So let us see one by one the soil profile. First one, it is the surface soil. So this is the surface soil. This is a thin but highly fertile soil consisting of leaf litter and humus. You know very well, children, humus is nothing but the decomposed organic matter. So decomposed organic matter is very, very important for the growth of a plant. So in this surface soil, we have that more, and even the leaf litter. So even the leaf litter, that is the dry leaves, everything will be mixed with the soil, and it is very, very fertile layer. So the next one, it is the top soil. So the next one, it is the top soil. This layer is dark in color with a fine texture, and it is also rich in humus, children, and it is very good for the plant growth. It is a crucial for plant growth. And the next one, it is the subsoil. So the next layer, it is the subsoil. This layer consists of sand, silt, and clay, and has only small amount of organic matter when compared to this two layers. In this two layers, we have more organic matters, but in the subsoil, we have very little amount of organic matters. Then next comes the parent material. This layer consists of large pieces of rock. You can see here large pieces of rocks. So this is the parent rock from which the topsoil, which is the topsoil, this is the topsoil and the subsoil have been formed. So from the parent material only, the topsoil and the subsoil have been formed, and it does not have humus, and in the parent material humus is not present. And the last layer, it is the bedrock, and this layer consists of solid rock. So this is the soil profile, and the soil profile is made up of different layers. So let us go to the next one. Now let us see the factors that determine the nature of the soil. So we very well know, children, that there are different kinds of soil, and which is based on color, texture, content, and fertility. So some factors are responsible. Some factors are there by which we can determine the nature of the soil. So what are they? Okay, first one. So the first one, it is the topography. So topography of a region. Second one, it is the climate. The third one, it is the composition of parent rock. So based on the parent rock only, the soil can be formed. So the next one is moisture, which is very, very important. Then the nature of organic matter present in that area. It also determines the nature of the soil. And lastly, the time taken for the process of formation. So this is also one of the important factor that determine the nature of the soil. So let us see the different types of soil. Based on the physical property of soil, they can be classified into different types. Actually, the Indian Council of Agricultural Research, that is ICAR, has classified the soil found in India into 8 groups, children. So let us see one by one. So mostly the classification is based on the origin, color, composition, texture, and location. So based on this only, we are going to classify the soil, the different types of soil. And the first one, it is the alluvial soil. This alluvial soil is a very, very rich and fertile soil formed by the depositional action of the river. Children, actually this river transport eroded material from the higher reaches, from the mountains. It brings the eroded materials and they deposit this material on the river banks. So as they are reaching the plain, they deposit these eroded materials. So this fertile alluvial soil supports cultivation of crops. So mostly in India, we can find this rich deposits of alluvial soil in Indo-Gangetic plains and in peninsular belt. Okay. So mostly it covers this alluvial soil, mostly it covers 24% of India's land area. So this is a very, very rich and fertile soil. So you can see this is the alluvial soil. Next comes the black soil. Black soil is also known as Rigur soil or cotton soil, children. It is found in and around lava plateaus. That is, you can find this black soil mostly in the areas where it was covered by lava millions of years ago. This deep and clayey soil swells when it is wet and it contract when it is dry. So only, children, therefore it develops white cracks during summer. So that is the reason you can see in the black soil there will be so many cracks, and it is ideal for growth of cotton, children. So that is the reason we even call this as a cotton soil. So where are this soil found? This soil are found mostly in the Deccan plateaus and some states of Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, even in parts of Gujarat, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, and various other places. These soil are found, children. And what are the crops that we can grow in this black soil? Means it is good for the cultivation of cereals, pulses, oil seed, citrus fruits, vegetables, as usual. That is cotton also. Cotton is the best grown crop. Okay, so this is about the black soil. Now let us go to the red soil. The soil is red in color. So why do we call this as a red soil? Because it is red in color and it contains high iron content. So the color is mostly because of the presence of iron oxide. So because of the presence of iron oxide, it is red in color. So being low in, it is very low in nutrients and humus. This red soil, it is a little bit difficult to cultivate. So if you want to grow crops in this red soil, we need to use more irrigation and more fertilizers. And what are the crops that can grow here? They are the millets, cotton, wheat, onion, and potatoes. And some places in India where we can find the soil are Orissa, Madhya Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, some parts of Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, and Kerala. You can see this. This is the red soil, children. And the next comes the laterite soil. Actually, the laterite soil is formed due to the intense leaching. Leaching means when water washes out soil nutrients in region with heavy rainfall. So when there is a heavy rainfall, what happens? The water will wash away the soil nutrients. So this soil is not naturally fertile, as the topsoil along with the humus is washed away by heavy rainfall, children. To make the soil cultivable, what we have to do is we have to treat them with fertilizers. So it is used for growth only after using or after treating it with the fertilizers. And what are the crops that we can grow here are jute, millet, fodder crops, etc. And some states where we find this soil are Maharashtra and West Bengal. Mostly we use the soil for making brick. So it is also used for brick making. So mostly the people use this for brick making, and very less people use this for cultivation like jute, millet and other fodder crops. So next let us go to the, this is the laterite soil. Next one is arid and sandy soil. This soil is found in the dry region, children. This soil, this color, no, the color of the soil will be somewhat like the dark shades of reddish brown, children. And it has very low moisture and human content. The reason is it is found in the dry deserts. So in the dry desert, you will not have moisture. You will not have humus. So that is the reason the color changes. And if you want to do cultivation, then with a sufficient irrigation to the soil, we can make this land cultivable. But mostly we don't prefer to cultivate in these areas. And where in India the soil is found means it is in the western Rajasthan. So this is the arid and sand soil. Next, it is the mountain soil. This soil is usually shallow, children. The reason is it is on the mountains, so you can't have any depth of the soil. What about fertility? Means fertility is very, very low. The fertility is low in the steeper part of the mountain and higher in the flatter part. And many plants have adapted to the soil, so we can do some agriculture. So this is the mountain soil. So that is about the various types of soil. Now we have come to the next topic, that is the conservation of soil. When agents of erosions like the water, wind, ice or gravity displace the upper layer of the soil, it is called as soil erosion. So because of the agents of erosion, that is the water and wind, what happens? No, they will remove the top layer of the soil. So it will cause the soil erosion. So what will it lead to? What will the soil erosion lead to, children? It leads to the loss of fertility, children. The reason is it removes the layer of the soil. The layer of the soil, the top layer of the soil, it contains organic matter, isn't it? And this organic and matter and the nutrients, if it is removed from the top soil, that is the top layer of the soil, then directly it will be exposed to the subsoil. The subsoil is not at all so much fertile when compared to the topsoil. So this type of removing the top layer, it is called as soil erosion. So this soil erosion is one of the main cause of the soil degradation, children. Next, some of other reasons are like overgrazing, overcultivation, excessive use of fertilizer, dumping of industrial waste, which is very, very important. We have to think over this, dumping of industrial waste and deforestation are some of the other important causes of soil degradation, children. We can take various methods to prevent soil degradation and conserve it. So it is in the hands of us, so that we have to conserve our soil. So it is in our hand. So there are many methods to prevent the soil degradation or soil erosion. So let us see one by one, children. The first method, it is the mulching. Mulching is done by covering the bare ground between plants with a layer of organic matters like straw or peat. So the straw or peat, no, they will be covered where they will cover the ground between the plants. So what will happen? This will prevent the loss of moisture from the soil. You can see this picture. Here is a plant. Here are the plants, and in between you can see it has been covered by the straw. So this is called as mulching. Next one, it is the counter bunding. Counter bunding or counter barrier is the practice of building barriers called bunds across the slopes. So they will be building bunds across the slopes. This bunds follow the counter shape of the land, children. So mostly the trenches are made in front of the barriers to hold the rainfall. So what will happen? So this will prevent wind erosion by keeping the soil moist. So you can see this picture. So this is the counter barrier. Next comes the terrace farming. What is terrace farming? It is nothing but the process of making terraces on steep slopes to grow crops. So it is called as terrace farming. This terrace farming, they help to conserve the soil by preventing rainwater from carrying away the soil, children. So this is one of the conservation of soil resources. So this is the terrace farming. Next type, it is the crop rotation. The soil can be conserved by growing different crops in succession in the same field to preserve the fertility of the soil, children. And this is known as crop rotation. You can see in this picture, there are various crops grown. You can see this is one type of crop and here. So this is the crop rotation so that we can prevent the soil erosion. The next one, it is the shelter belt. In mostly the areas where there is more wind, so when there is some when wind can blow away the topsoil in the areas like the coastal and a dry region, in such regions they will plant rows of trees, children. So this rows of trees will be planted to act as a shelter belt. So they will just act as a shelter belt. What they will do is they will break the force of the wind and they will prevent soil erosion. So they will break the force of the wind. You can see in this picture, you can see here is a field. You can see the field here and you can see the trees that have been planted in a row. So they will be preventing the soil erosion. Next one, it is the plugging. So mostly in areas without trees, when you can't plant more trees in such areas, they will be using this method. So in areas without tree cover, surface runoff often carry away the topsoil, children. So this will ultimately lead to the formation of deep channels called gullies. So the gullies will be formed. So what can we do? If we are not going to check it, this gully will grow in size and destroy the land. So what we have to do is to prevent this gullies, we are going to plug. That is, gullies are plugged with the piles of rock to slow down the flow of water. So you can pile the rocks to slow down the flow of water, children. So like this, we can prevent the soil loss. And this is called as plugging. You can see in this picture, they have piled the rocks here. So this is also one of a method to conserve the soil. So we have come to the end of the module, children. So we have learned about the different types of soil, like alluvial soil, black soil, red soil, laterite soil, and what is soil erosion. We have learned about soil erosion and the various methods to conserve the soil erosion. So being a human race living in the earth, it is in the hands of us. We have to prevent the soil erosion. We have to conserve the soil for the future generation children. So let us all join hand together and let us conserve the soil. Note down the assignment, children. Thank you, children.